Hey everyone, welcome to the deep dive webinar on the new VoltFormula capabilities of VoltMX Go. I'm Adam Gartenberg, Director of Product Management for VoltMX Go, and I'm joined today by Tony Estrada, Associate Director of Research. Tony's been leading the team developing VoltFormula, and he's going to take you through all the details and demonstrate what VoltFormula is capable of. We're also joined by Jason Gary, CTO and Vice President, and Michael Alexander, Director of Software Engineering for VoltMX Go. And we also have our VoltFormula engineering team on the line with us to answer your questions. Please use the question box off to the side to ask your questions anytime throughout the webinar, and we'll answer them later in the session. So this is the first in a series of webinars we'll be hosting to give a deeper dive into all of the capabilities of VoltMX Go. Hopefully you were able to join us on the 26th for the kickoff session with Richard Jeffts, Andrew Manby, and Michael Alexander. And if not, a replay is available. And stay tuned for the next webinar in the series, which will focus on First Touch, Design Import, and the Domino REST API. That'll be scheduled in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and keep an eye on your email for registration details, which will be coming soon. Before getting into VoltFormula, I want to give a quick refresher on VoltMX Go as a whole. VoltMX Go was created to help you extend and modernize your Domino applications, or to create entirely new apps connected to your Domino backend. It also allows you to take advantage of all of the multi-experience capabilities of VoltMX, such as creating native mobile, tablet, desktop, and wearable apps, bringing in the latest technology like AR and VR, AI chatbots, or connecting to IoT devices. And it can integrate with the other backend systems that you might have deployed in your enterprise. It also allows you to maximize and future-proof your skill investment by allowing your Domino developers to bring their code and VoltMX application into their VoltMX applications, while also allowing you to tap into the abundant pool of JavaScript developers available in the market today. And lastly, you can do all this while automating and saving up to 60% of the labor needed to modernize your apps, reducing the cost, time, and risk involved in doing so. So let's look at where some of those savings come from. A lot of them come from the capabilities that we started introducing with MX Go version 2. The Domino adapter directly connects VoltMX back to your Domino deployment, allowing for full data services and aggregation, and making it a full citizen alongside all of the integrations possible in Volt Foundry. For those who may be new to VoltMX, the First Touch experience guides you through establishing a connection between Domino and VoltMX and gives you a sample application to work with as a reference when creating your own apps. Design Import, as the name implies, lets you import your forms, fields, and views from Domino into VoltMX, making them immediately actionable since they're already connected back to Domino, and giving you a big head start on designing your MX app. And VoltFormula lets you bring your at formulas and Domino application logic into VoltMX. And since that's what we're going to be hearing more about today, I'm going to turn it over to Tony to share all the details.
Thanks, Adam. All right. Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody can see this well. And I'm just going to be on screen while I go through a few slides here to set the stage and get this going into what we are going to show. So just a little recap on what formula languages are and what we brought in. We took Notes Domino formula language and OpenFormula formula language, which is what Excel is based on. And we made JavaScript implementations of each. For OpenFormula, we took an open source JavaScript implementation. For Notes Domino, we wrote it from scratch. So we grabbed the Notes Domino formula language and the OpenFormula from Excel and make a JavaScript implementation that we call Rosetta.js, which we need to set some terminology here so that everybody does not get lost. So these two implementations of these languages were implemented as Rosetta.js as ES6 JavaScript. So it's important to understand this part. So the components of Rosetta, just for a little bit more of comments here, are the API library itself, which I just mentioned, which is the implementations of those formula languages, a very neat tool that we call the Rosetta.js converter, which takes a formula, whether it's an Excel formula or a Notes formula, and converts it into the JavaScript calls that are analogous to that formula itself. So the JavaScript calls to our API. And then we have a set of prettifiers and helpers that help you navigate through the formula language, what we have exposed, what's available and what's not available. Okay. So this is the layers of the Rosetta.js package. We made the NotesFormula and OpenFormula implementations into their own layers, and we have a parent layer that we call the Rosetta API layer. And in this way, we can add multiple languages in the future from other formulas. Maybe we'll get the Google formulas and so forth. So this screen shows the execution flow of how a formula would get into a product. One would start with either a Notes formula or an Excel formula and convert that using the formula converter. That's the pink screen here, the pink box. Then that conversion becomes a JavaScript snippet that calls our API. The engine, the JavaScript engine that is interpreting that code will then call the API that is loaded on the engine. And then the API goes to the Rosetta.js layer, which then, depending on what formulas were converted, it could call the notes, or it could call the OpenFormula, or it could call a future language layer or a custom layer. And then as a result, by using JavaScript, we can leverage the majority of web applications to make use of this technology. All right, so just a little recap. So Rosetta is the JavaScript application, the JavaScript API library, the converter, and the IntelliSense and prettifier. And VoltFormula is taking Rosetta and adding those capabilities to VoltMX Go, in addition to making the VoltMX Go Iris IDE very formula aware by adding these features that we're about to show. So
the way in which you expose the Rosetta JavaScript into Iris is through its plugin mechanism.
It's pretty neat. This is in a form of a plugin jar that gets built and gets downloaded by VoltMX Go at start time, and you can expect to see future extensions of MX Go in this mechanism. All right, so let's take it to, let me go off camera and let's do some action.
What I'm about to show you is a Domino application running on my VM machine. It's a simple phone book app.
And I'm using the same examples that were presented by Michael Alexander so that we have some continuity. And what this is just an application, a very simple to understand application. It's just a phone book type application that has a person record where you edit the person, and then it has a list of people here. So a list of people, you can go here and say edit, and just don't mind some of the agent buttons. We're doing some experimentation before. And if we remove the email here and we say autofill with
the notes formula,
it's basically with by pressing this button, then it runs that. A very simple, get the first name, get the last name, and set the fields on the, or compose the email as a text and then set it on the field. It's called email address. All right, so I'm going to close my Windows VMware just to give me a little bit more power here on the machine. I hear my fan is running, and then we're going to take it to Iris now. So what I'm showing here is Iris. Iris is the IDE of VoltMX Go. Okay, and you can see this as the designer / application builder of VoltMX Go. Right now I'm showing the default view, which is called the storyboard view, and I already have loaded the phone book application, and what is showing here is the two forms that I have on that application. On the left side, you have a default library with a bunch of
bits that come pre-made from Iris, which you can drag and drop and make your application as you compose it. We've also added this Volt prompt, which is analogous to the app prompt of Domino notes, and you can use it just as if you would use app prompt. in the Add Formula app prompt, we'll actually make use of these Volt prompt widgets. All these widgets are in the library, and you drag them and drop them in order to compose your application on the canvas right there in the middle.
So this would be the canvas for the storyboard of the project. Now, if we click design here, then we go into a bit more of detailed stuff. Let me make this a little smaller. Oh, and I forgot to say, on the bottom we have a set of tabs that allows us to search, build, debug, or show the console here. Now, once I went into design mode, some of the panels here on the left and the right change a bit. Here on the left, we have, again, the navigator of the project. And within the navigator, we have tabs that lets us pick from different areas of the navigation, whether it's templates, themes, assets, etc. Normally, we stay in project for the most part. And if we can make this a little bit, there we go. So on the bottom, again, we have the same set of widgets that I said before. On the default library, you can have your own libraries of widgets and collections of skins. So it's very flexible on that end. On the bottom, we have the console search, build, and debug tabs, as I said before. Now on the right side, we have the data services for the back end, and here you see how the application is connected to the back end, and this is using the keep identity or going through the adapter, which we'll have some deep dives on that later. And we have another tab here on the right pane that is called properties. And when we select the properties, this now lets us see properties of whatever widget we have selected here. This in the middle section. We have forms, and what's selected is actually the person form. So this is the same or very similar as the one that I had in Domino. Now, widgets, like when I select different, let's say if I select this button for autofill email, you'll see that the properties here change, right? And within the properties, we have
the way to set the look and feel for the widget specifically, maybe the skin itself. Skins can be adapted to a single widget or many widgets. We have the actions, which are on event type mechanisms for each widget, and the actions are different depending on the type of widget that you have selected. We'll see some of that a bit later on the action editor. So now if I move over and I select the person form, you see that all of my actions change into a much larger set of on-event actions for the form widget. Than from the button widget. If we select the button widget again, then we see that those actions change to be specific to the button widget itself. Now let's go and check out the action editor by selecting the on-click for the button.
Select the button, click this button to add a formula. And I'm going to choose an action here that is specific to MX Go, which is called formula, add formula. When I click that, I'm presented with a dual, or I will say triple panel for your entering of the code for your formula. Here right now we say the formula is undetermined because it could be, if I start typing an Excel formula, we get detection that we're starting with an Excel formula, particularly because it starts with an equals, and we go into IntelliSense and show you everything that's available from that. But if I enter an @ sign, then for example, we know it starts as a NotesFormula. Now, what is showing here, just a little explanation. Let's see if I lightly click here. What we're showing here is all the functions that we have that start with an @ sign. Well, that's pretty much all the functions that we have implemented. The ones that you see gray are functions that are not available, but they will be available. They're just not implemented. The ones that you see that are crossed out are functions that will not be available, but we don't want to remove them from the list, because if you're using the formula language of Notes and you enter an add function that exists in Notes and we just don't show you anything, you're gonna wonder what's going on. So at least by showing you that which ones are available or not available, or will not be implemented or will be implemented later. It's going to help you on choosing which ones are current, right, for this version. And obviously on the right side, as you choose different things, you'll get a helper of how to use that function. So okay, so I'm gonna start going a little bit faster here. I'm gonna choose context, and context is a specific VoltFormula language construct that we've created, because in Domino, when you set a field on a form, that field is hardwired directly to your backend. There's no disconnection from the field to the backend. In Iris or in MX Go, the widgets, the fields of the widgets of the UI are not connected directly to the backend until you connect them yourselves. And there's many ways of connecting them. So what we have to do here is we have to tell the Iris formula that if we're going to use formula or formula functions such as get field or set field, we want to tell it, are we working with the backend stuff or are we working with the front end UI stuff? So that's why this context method was created. And we have some ideas of making this even nicer, where it can actually work with both backend and front end without the user having to create this, but that's in the works right now. So we're fine-tuning this. So as I type things here in my formula, you see that in the top, you can, in real time, it shows the conversion. Remember that Rosetta converter, the conversion happens real time, and you see the JavaScript that is going to be implemented. Now, anytime we add a formula, we prepend it and postpend it with these identifiers for the formula, because we're saving all the formulas internally in the project so that we can edit them if need be. So that if you wanted to edit the JavaScript, you could do, but if you wanted to edit the formula language itself, you can also do that as well. All right. So we're setting the context local because we're going to tell it that we're going to work with our UI. So we say first name equals at get field, and you can see the helper there, helps me like that, and the field name is going to be I think it's called first name, and I'll show you where that field name comes from. And then, okay, now I'm gonna paste from here just to make it a little quicker. So last name, there you go. And I'm gonna grab a few things. I'm gonna make a message here. Just a message for my log, and you can see as I do it, this, the JavaScript up there gets filled in automatically. Now I'm gonna call this function called
debug, which we've added to VoltFormula. It's specific to VoltFormula and does not exist in Notes.
What this will be a way of debugging your application. Normally in Domino, you use app prompt to show things on the screen whenever you're trying to debug something. But we figured since we're in JavaScript mode, or we will be running in a JavaScript mode, why not just take advantage of that? So what this does internally is it actually makes a call to this VoltFormula debug function, which internally it uses the console logger to print the debugs, and we'll see that in a bit. And then I'm just going to grab this one. So we're going to do set field. So what we're doing is we're setting the field email. This is our standard NotesFormula. And we're going to lowercase the function name, whatever we enter. We'll add a dot, lowercase the last name, and then we're going to add @htl.com. All right, so that's our formula there. We're going to save that. Now, the last thing that I want to show here is the formula results here are sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. This is essentially an evaluation of this JavaScript here. And depending on the context that we're on, in this case, because we're not running the application yet, we get this misleading message here that we're working out
a solution so that it's a little bit more user-friendly and makes sense.
If we were adding where that had the context, like let's say mathematical formulas that could evaluate the context properly, we see the evaluation here. So just to keep be aware of that. Also, another thing I wanted to show was that we have a way of grabbing samples here from either OpenFormula or Notes, and just to help people get started or experiment with this thing, right? So this is our formula to set the field. A quick time check. All right, and we added that to the Autofill email, and we did it on the onClick. So now you see this button has an ID and for the action itself. All right, so let's run this. We'll give you this application. Run live preview. Now, what this preview is, this is a way of running your application before you publish it, so you can use this. So let's this is the application, and I'm going to log in, and what this is using the adapter and a backend Domino server through the adapter, and it's going to query the data, just the same one that I was using in Domino. Actually, this will be John's Domino server. So all right, so this is telling us, let me just make this a little bit bigger. So the data will be a little bit different, but it's the same database template. So this is just telling us allow access to keep on the debugging mode here, right? So we show all the records here. Now, what I wanted to show, let's grab this guy and we put it to edit. When I click the autofill email, let me just clear this here because we're probably going to show some debugs here, right? So it took my first name, my last name, and it made them lowercase. It composed that email field and it set it. This was all done with a formula. And here in blue, you can see the debug statement, got fields and so forth that I had put there. So this is what was shown at the initial presentation, but we're sort of right now, we are dissecting the application in pieces so you can see how this was done, help you out. All right, so save and close. And here, oh, I'm gonna do a refresh here. There you go. So there's the that is set like that. All right, so we've seen email button done via a formula. Now let me close this and go back to the next example. All right, let's say instead of debug state, I want to use the old way of. What I'm going to do is instead of doing this setting debug statement. So what I'm going to do is debug message. I actually want instead of debug, just do a prompt. I'm just going to grab it here. I'm going to say I'm going to show prompt. You can see there that our prompt is for how to use it. And the reason I want to show the app prompt is because I want to expose that we have formulas that also interact or create UI. So we're going to just say the title is going to be get fields and it's going to give me a message. And of course, if I don't put a semicolon there, then we don't have proper JavaScript converted. So same thing, it's just going to be the message in the prompt. So save it, rerun it, build. And I'm just going to take out the debug here. So no debug. That's just the configuration of your settings for the preview. So when preview starts, they should look at that. Show that. There we go. That's how I would have expected it to show. Let's make it easy. So, and John Lennon again. Oops. And then if I go here and well, this is already set, but so I say edit. If I clear it out and then I press the button again, I get the app prompt formula result here, which is just a prompt, just like you would get in Domino. Click OK and it fills it. All right, so that's that example. So you saw how to edit that. Now let's say, let's go in here and show a few things of Iris. So because Iris, all the applications of Iris are all written with JavaScript as the main language, we have to be aware language of what Iris requires here. And what I'm showing here is called a controller. Controllers control the from the act form. And there's two controllers per form. One is action editor that I just did. I'm going to open that now. And this is the action editor. Created for the citizen developer is actually placed into this controller action that you cannot edit. It's read only, but you can application that has been do your own custom code. Then you go to the font, and then you can non-read-only controller, and you actually call these functions from the action editor. So what I'm showing here is we're going to do a control replacement here. This was doing is get pre-made already for us. And what this code here, reading the values, this is the one that reads, this is basically the read form for the person record. It's getting the values here from the database for first name, email, phone number, last name, etc. And then it's setting them on the UI. Remember how I said that you need to connect the back end to the front end? Well, this is one way of doing that. Let's say I don't want to do it with, well, eventually it has to be JavaScript, but let's say I want to do it with a formula. So I'm gonna just nuke all that code. And obviously now it's not gonna do anything, right? If I was to run this, it will actually just run it, run live preview, just to show you what happens here. Because now I've made a change here. So let's run this and show that the edit, there you go, okay. Okay, looks there. So if I edit anyone, let's just add someone else. You see that it did not populate anything because I just removed that data. So the mapping of backend to front end, it's gone. All right, let's close this. Let's put now the mapping of backend to front end, but let's add it as a formula. So I right click and I say add code from formula. Again, this is very similar to the action editor, except instead of being in an action editor, now you're in the controller and you start typing. And let's see your formula, same thing. And just show here. And as you start typing, we start filling in the JavaScript side our new formula conversion results here. So context again. So let's see. So if we're going to get context from the database, we need to tell it that. Now I'm going to just start pasting things here just for the sake of time. So I'm going to do get this, and again, this formula, nice, super bright red thing here. Let's just get it up because there's no context to that right now. So I don't want it to distract. I want to get it out of there. So what I'm doing is I'm doing oops. Okay, first name, last name, email into variables here, just regular notes formula, and then I'm actually gonna call debug. I'm gonna add a debug here statement just for the sake of it. And then I'm gonna set my context to local. And then I'm gonna do set field, right? Set field, and just typing it out so you can see it. It's helper there, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna paste it here. So I'm doing the same thing that that the JavaScript was doing a few minutes ago. All right, so we click here, it goes away. Let me save the controller, and then now when we build and let's see, running the live preview again. Make this a little bigger. 75. Lennon, yellow. I shouldn't say the password out loud. It's okay. Okay. All right. So now if let's just grab anybody. Here. So we have an issue here. Let's grab some. Oh, there we go. So it did populate 1, 2, 3, 4, but something's not working. So let's go and debug it. Let's say I want to debug this. This is a good opportunity. So before it was supposed to the things and set them there, but it did not do it. So I can actually go here and say debugger, and by adding this and running the live preview, you will be able to see what's going on the JavaScript debugger since we have a debug capability on the JavaScript engine. All right, so save this, debug live, build, run live preview. Little check-in time. All right, I'm almost done. The last thing I want to do is show some extension mechanisms, which will be pretty neat. Log in, John Lennon, oops. And then now if I run it like this, I open the debugger and clear this out. Now, whenever I open a thing here, you see that we've stopped here in the debugger. Now we can see, we can start, this is the code that is running, and we can start seeing all of our values here and so forth. So let's just step through this. 1, 2, 3, and let's see what's in our first name variable. So first name is being retrieved properly. So that is being the debug message is coming out there, and then the first name here, this should be set field, document set field, first name, and then 1 plus the variable name. So that should also be set. Oh, there you go. So what was going on the other time? Well, let me just click play here. So you can, so in this case, I put the debugger thing there. I don't know what I did wrong before, but you can see that the values were populated there on the read field. And yeah, so we didn't do anything to the edit. So yeah, so for some, I don't know what I did on that. I'll go back on the replay and see what I did wrong. That I don't know if it needed to refresh or there was some caching issue there. But just by adding debuggers there, well, it served as a good example to show how to debug something, but it also exposed that we have a caching of the database thing here, where without it, it didn't actually set it. Anyway, it's all good. Part of coding. All right, so that's that. The last thing I want to show is this. So let's say you have a bunch of functions that you want to expose throughout your organization, or you've bought some library, and we have this mechanism. I said bought some libraries because we have a way to extend the VoltFormula. So we're expecting that at one point we're going to have all these additional functions that are not just the notes functions or the OpenFormula functions, but functions that developers have done to make things easier to redeploy. So I'm going to show here, I'm going to just bring the screen over here like this. This is my editor. This is where I was grabbing things from. Like that. And then I'm going to show you an extension. So this is our extension language for Rosetta. And right now I'm defining 2 extension points. One's called logger, and it's going to go in category custom, and then it's going to execute this function whenever it gets called. So this is a JavaScript based extension, but we can also do extensions with actual formula language. So you can actually create your own formula language functions that call additional formula language. And in this one, we're doing a category custom. We're calling it set email to uppercase, and we're gonna extend the notes definitions, and the name of the function is gonna be the same as the name in Rosetta. That's all explained in the documentation as well of how to extend this. And then the code is gonna be this formula, right? So this is a notes formula that it's going to get converted internally in real time so that we can actually execute its JavaScript implementation of it. So All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the screen out, and I'm going to tell the VoltFormula configuration that I want to extend my API with that, let's see, with those extensions. So I choose them here, Rosetta extension, open it, and that's going to load it into the application, into the project that we're building. Now, if I go here to the person record, and this is my form, and then I edit my autofill email, let's click it, edit the action, and instead of doing that whole formula here that we did in the beginning, I'm just going to remove it and say, instead of doing all this, just call your new function that I've just extended called set email. So there it is. It gets added to the IntelliSense. So set email to uppercase, and that is going to run what we extended it with. So let's save this extension, save the record, and then run live preview. And what we should see here is that our email is now being set in uppercase through that custom method that we just extended the API with. And I'm not liking all these 401s, but that's okay. That's probably from not being logged in. So yellow, sign in. Oh, this is a little thing that when you do that, it happens. That's why I make this 75 every time. Okay. Allow. All right, so let's just pick anybody, pick myself. So if I edit this and I say autofill email, it should run that custom method, and it sets it with the uppercase. Obviously, the ones and the twos are still residue from my other experiment, but you can see that now we ran that custom method. Additionally, we can run the logger if I want to also do some logger stuff. If I go back here and just call the logger, I'm gonna say logger, there you go. And then my message is gonna be, this is a debug message. Message. There was an issue there. All right, this is the debug message. So I'm also now using part of that, and you can see that the JavaScript here that is being generated, it's using the custom, because that's the category. You can create any category. You can actually extend the existing categories if you wanted to, but it's calling those implementations that I uploaded, right? So save, and then let's put this back so I can get rid of these numbers. Let's put this back how it used to be before I made it from a formula. So what I can do is I can actually edit, right? If I right click inside of a formula, you can actually edit the formula code, or you can just go in there and completely knock it out and add just straight JavaScript. That's how it used to be before. So we don't have those 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s that were part of the other experiment. All right, so let's run this, and then what we're gonna see now is the debug there, run live preview. I think that's the only change we did in addition to getting rid of the numbers there. A little time check, and we're almost done here. And go into question and answer mode so that we can get some good answers here for any questions. John Lennon. Okay, oh, that's this thing that I need to. This responsive, if I don't refresh it, it doesn't, I mean, if I don't resize it, it doesn't give us the full screen there. So let's see, let's clear the console here, and let's just edit one of them. And I think, there you go, so let's go in there. Oh, it was in the autofill. Oh, there you go. So the custom formula, I mean, the logger there that I just created is now logging things in my in my JavaScript console there. So, you know, yep, and then that's that right there. Okay, so that gives you an example of how to extend the project with your own library of extensions. Again, bringing this in, just showing you some examples here of extensions. Some of them are JavaScript, some of them are formula that will get converted, and here are a few others, how to send parameters in and so forth. All right, last thing, this is the VoltFormula project settings. You can see set configurations here for how VoltFormula and API components will behave in Iris. And there was one more thing that I wanted to show here. We've been doing a lot of the formula part. You can also get the helper from IntelliSense itself. Oops. Let's see. I'll do this. What is it? VoltMX dot. Oh, that should bring up the helper. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go here. Close this guy. Open again here. Go to my testing area. And then what I want to show is that VoltMX, there we go. So we have Rosetta, so we have IntelliSense as well on the JavaScript side of things. And let's say you know there's a function called setField, but you don't know where it is. You can use wildcards, and this is very specific to the Rosetta IntelliSense. And you say, I want to see setField. Where's setField? So we find setField. If we press enter there, we see that setField gets filled in for its arguments, but we also see that the category where setField lives is in document. So now we can, if we wanted to go directly, because now we're a little bit better, we see document as a category. And if we select it and do dot, then we see all of the methods that are available for document category. All right. So I think this covers pretty much a good amount of information that I wanted to show you. And hopefully it helps out in laying down the foundation for what we're providing in MX Go for capabilities of bringing in formula code, whether it is from Excel or from Notes, Domino, into this application builder platform. And with that, I'm going to turn it over back to Adam.
Very good. Excellent demos, Tony. Thank you for all of that. We have had some reports that there were some technical difficulties with the audio during the demo. We will be sharing a recording of this afterwards, and we'll make sure we've got a clean version of the demo included in there. Before we get to questions and answers, actually for questions and answers, if you haven't asked your question already, please go ahead and put it into the question box off to the side there so we can see it and make sure we answer that for you. A reminder that we will have another deep dive webinar coming up in 2 to 3 weeks. This one will focus on the VoltMX Go first touch, design import, and the Domino REST API. So keep an eye on your email for registration details for all of that. And also another reminder that in the near future, we will have VoltMX Go available on HCL Sophie. There's an easy way for you to try it out. So stay tuned for more details on that as well. And with that, let's go to your questions. So the first question we have is, are you using an Iris demo version or is it already available? So Tony, was what you showed us already available today?
So what I show you is London plus a few tweaks that we have made since we released London, because we've been working obviously in fixing things and adding a few features. I would say it's 95% London GA and plus fixes that we've done here and there to make IntelliSense a little bit better.
Great, but yeah, but the version that is available now for MX Go does include VoltFormula and just about everything we saw here in terms of all of those capabilities.
Absolutely, yeah. The main thing that I wanted to keep here is the IntelliSense changes that we've done in the last couple of weeks to show those as well. But all the capabilities are there in the GA version that I just showed. And I'm sorry, I'm reading now through some of the questions, and I don't know why my connection is supposed to be pretty fast, but sorry.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
And just a follow-up question on that is, and I can take this one, is VoltMX Go Iris. So VoltMX Go includes all the capabilities that are in the Domino Complete Collaboration Bundle, as well as all of the capabilities of VoltMX, plus the add-on capabilities unique to this version, like the things we showed here and the design import and things like that. So VoltMX Go includes Iris, which you can use for bringing your Domino applications as well as any other VoltMX applications you want to develop. It is a custom version of Iris that does have these new capabilities included in it for right now. Next question. Is it possible to import formulas from Notes apps?
Yes. So in other demos, what we've done is we've actually copied and pasted the formula straight from Domino into the application itself. The design import does not bring the formula, but we can copy and paste it.
Okay, very good. We've got a more specific question here. What about @db lookup and @db column? Are those implemented?
Yes and yes. So @db lookup and @db column work in the Iris side of things. I believe the way the view was generated was with an @db lookup. But yeah, those two are available, and they are available in the GA version, so you can go and play with those.
Oh, excellent, very good. This next one I can take. What is the expected cadence for new releases of VoltMX Go? So we are planning a continuous release process for VoltMX Go. So you should expect to see new releases with new capabilities every couple of months. And we've got a lot of exciting things coming already. And as Tony mentioned, we've already got things that we've got in the works that we're testing out for VoltFormula, for design import. So there's a lot to come there. Thank you. Another question that I will take as well, are there any plans to extend the usage of VoltFormula into other products aside from VoltMX? So that is a very good question. That is something that we are considering for the future and we are exploring. So stay tuned for more on that. Another question, does design import bring over column formula and field validation formulas?
I'll go ahead and pipe in and answer that. The answer today is no, but that is a consistent and regular item that we will be prioritizing and getting delivered as soon as we can. There are a bunch of variations, as you know, but the importance of a column formula is absolutely recognized.
Great, thank you. Here's a question about something a more specific, designing a more specific formula that might be specific to my business. Is that something that they can create?
I'll pipe in for that one, yes. If you've got something that is departmental even or enterprise-wide, you can create and give people access to the specific functions that they're going to need within the application context.
Okay, very good. And we have a question about Lotus script. Can I call Lotus script from my at formula?
Tony, are you back?
No, you cannot.
As of now.
Okay.
However, you can.
So go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I think the audio issue is with the webinar GoToMeeting application I see now, because I just did a test, but I wanted to answer a little bit on that. You cannot call Lotus script from formula. However, you can call formula from Lotus script, or not Lotus script, Volt script, because we have the evaluator, and you'll see more on that when the Volt script deep dive happens.
Okay, very good. We've got a question about whether it's possible to run VoltMX Go without a Domino server.
Yes, absolutely. So Go, it makes use of the Foundry's capabilities for exposing where your backend is, and one of them happens to be Domino, which we've done through the adapter through then Keep. But there's a lot of different other adapters that don't necessarily need to have Domino.
So yeah, just to clarify, VoltMX can run without a Domino server, but right now, if I'm running specifically Go and I have applications that are connected back to that Domino data, that would require the Domino server.
To get to Domino data, yes. But if the question, as I read it, was if I was programming my Foundry server against Salesforce, I could still leverage VoltFormula against Salesforce, which is also accurate.
Okay. Yep. Okay, I think we've run through the questions. We'll give another minute in case there are any other questions that haven't come up yet. We appreciate all your questions and input here, and hopefully this has been helpful to give you a view into what's possible with VoltFormula and how that works. Thank you again, Tony, for that great demo and sharing all of those details. And on behalf of, well, I've got one more question coming in here on that. Can you confirm that VoltFormula running only on Iris without the Domino server?
So yes.
Go ahead, Michael. We're all eager to answer. No, go ahead, Michael. I like your voice and accent better.
Well, the VoltFormula will absolutely run within Iris from the MX Go Iris without having to connect to Domino, without having had to establish a connection to Domino. The main use case reference is going to Domino, again, for the obvious reasons, but it is not limited or restricted to utility with Domino.
Correct. Now, I will add to that, there are some formula functions that are very specific to Domino constructs. And so those functions may be requiring that the backend is actually exposing a form, for example, the way that Domino exposes a form. But are very specific cases that, edge cases, I would say.
Right.
Okay.
Just like running at DDE is not going to work from in Iris.
Yeah.
Great questions. Thank you, Tony.
Yep.
Thanks for the help.
Okay, with that, we will wrap it up here. Thank you all for participating, and we look forward to talking with you again on our next webinar. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.